Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a modern clothes store. This is the amount of space required to make the build. And here are all of the materials that we will use in making it. Begin by placing a quartz brick on the ground. Left of it, place a smooth quartz stair, and then a quartz brick, and then a smooth quartz stair, and then a quartz brick. Extend backwards by 2. 1, 2. Then destroy a row of 3 in the ground, extending left. 1, 2, 3, and then on the end of this, place a quartz brick, which we then want to extend backwards by 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then we want to extend across the back by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then in by 2. 1, 2. And then we simply want to extend across and join all the way forward to the front of the build. This is what our hard work looks like. Place a black glass on top of each of the smooth quartz stairs, join it together in the middle, and then add an additional layer on top. Then place white concrete surrounding the glass, extending all the way down and across the top. Then add another layer of white concrete directly on top of this, and then we want to continue around and extend around the build on top of all of our quartz bricks using white concrete. This white concrete wants to end up being as high as the white concrete that we now have above our window. And when we get to this giant gap in the front, we simply just want to extend across the top, like this. And once we've done that, we now want to focusing above the window once more. On the left and right sides of these two corner rows, we want to place our quartz bricks, smooth quartz stairs on the inside of them with quartz bricks in between. Then, on the left side of this, we want to extend the quartz bricks backwards, and then extending left of these bricks across the top of the entrance, a stair, a brick, a stair, a brick. And then we are simply just going to make the rest of this quartz bricks, just extending around the top and eventually connecting back to where we first started. Then we want to add a layer of white concrete directly on top of all of this. Then we want to mark out some windows. The first two windows are going to be single windows above these two smooth quartz stairs. We want to place 2 black glass extending up from each of these positions. Then over here on the left, we want to place a 2x2 square of black glass right above the entrance. This doesn't look like it's in the middle, but if you were to add white concrete around this, which we would be doing inevitably anyway, and extend this white concrete forwards to the 2 single windows, you can see this sits quite nicely in the middle. And we can extend white concrete across these single windows as well. We can even extend all of this white concrete backwards, but we do have an additional window to make. So let's just extend the white concrete along these sides, and then we can focus on the back a little bit. So on the back of the build, opposite the 2x2 window, we want to have a 3x2 window. The reason for this is because if we build up this left wall here using white concrete and then place a layer of 2 glass, you can see it just sits rather pleasingly in the middle. We're not going to have a window here, but you can add one later if you do feel as though you like the positioning of them. And once you have added all of that white concrete and all of the glass, we're going to come back to the front of the build. We want to place smooth quartz stairs above and equal to where we have placed the smooth quartz stairs just down below, as you can see. Then we're going to add a layer of quartz bricks in between the smooth quartz stairs, and after that we will be adding some smooth quartz slabs on top of everything that we have just made, and we will be extending these smooth quartz slabs all the way across the top of the roof, and well, that's actually just going to form the roof. So once we've kind of just added it all the way around, it's given us a nice shape to fill in, which we are doing right now. And with that complete, we can now come all the way back down to the front of the build, and this is a really nice looking building so far. What we now want to do is add a sign. The sign is made out of white concrete. It sits directly above this entranceway here, and we drop it a row down, like so. If you want it to stand out a bit, you can actually make it out of smooth quartz instead, as it will contrast a little bit better. So do feel free to try them both. Extend it all the way across like this so that it sits directly in front, then extend it a further 1, 2, 3 rows outwards like this. So it's kind of hanging off, and I do think I prefer the smooth quartz, but it's a small change, like it's up to you. Anyway, last little bit of detail that we'll be adding to the outside building itself. I like to add birch signs above this window here with birch buttons above the signs. I think that it just adds a nice little bit of extra something to the building. I also want to have a couple of hanging plants hanging down from the sign, so this is basically a couple of flower pots here in front of these two white concretes with ferns attached, just like this. Next to this, we'll have some oak leaves stacked in rows of 2, and these will extend forwards to equal the length of the actual building. And these leaves will extend all the way back like this, and it's up to you whether you choose to wrap them around the back or whether you kind of want to. I mean, they can wrap around the back like this, or they can like pop around the side, but I'm quite happy having it be asymmetrical. I kind of like the effect of it. I'm also going to make the pavement as well, so this is a couple of rows of smooth stone just directly in front. Smooth stone specifically because all of my pavement in Stream City is smooth stone, and I'm not about to change it now, so this will inevitably connect to the store, but it won't occupy these free spaces right here. And then, I'm not going to do this right now, I'll do this in a second. Actually, I'm halfway done already. I'm going to turn this strip of grass that just sat inside the grid. I do say sat instead of sits inside the grid because we have just destroyed the grid. That is going to be lime terracotta, and there we go. This is a nice looking store. Perfect. So, last but not least, we have to make a sign. I don't know why I said last but not least, because we also want to add some iron trap doors above each one of the upper windows with grey carpet stacked on top. Now this isn't necessary, I'm not even sure that it improves the building. It might even take away from the building to add, well, I don't want to use the word unnecessary detail, but I think that it does kind of like mess with the actual simplicity of it, so I think I'm going to leave those off. But I did originally design the build this way, and do feel free to add them if you want to. The sign. Throw down a loom, open it up, and place a white banner in there with some black dye. The first letter we have to make is C. It's literally just going to say clothes. So a vertical row of black on the left, horizontal on the top, and a horizontal across the bottom. That will be C. Next is L. That's a vertical row of black on the left, horizontal across the bottom. L. Next is O, vertical row of black on the left, the right, horizontal on the top and horizontal on the bottom. O. Next is T, so that's a horizontal row of black across the top and a vertical row straight down the middle. Next would be H, so vertical row of black on the left, the right, and a horizontal row straight through the middle. H. Next is E, so that is white dye that I'm trying to stick in there. E is a horizontal row of black across the top, through the middle and along the bottom, with a vertical row of black on the left side. I wish that we had enough room for this last letter, we're going to have to move that. This is going to be S, so that's a horizontal row along the top, along the bottom, and a diagonal row top left corner to bottom right corner. So once we have done that, this will perfectly occupy the sign that we made earlier, C-L-O-T T-H-E-S. That would have looked weird if I kept the T there. Outstanding, look at that. Okay, now it's time for us to work our way into the store and let's get started. So the first thing that I'm going to do in here is just get all of this grass shifted so that we can install the floor. I did have an original plan for the floor, but I decided to change it mid-video, and I think that I'm going to be happy with the result. So my idea for the floor is this. We are going to alternate polished deep slate and calcite, and we are going to make a checkered pattern. Initially, I was just going to go for good old birch planks, but I think that this will really help with the sort of like modern and simplistic vibe. So the way that we make the stairs is very simple. We start with the front left-hand corner of the floor, which just so happens to be this polished deep slate. We want to count backwards, 1, 2, 3. So on this calcite here, we place a smooth quartz stair, and then 2 more extending up and back. We then place 2 white concrete extending back from this. We extend the concrete to the right, place smooth quartz stairs next to the 3 initial stairs. Then we want to place upside down quartz stairs extending right from the 2x2 square of white concrete, and then we extend these stairs up by 2 additional rows extending backwards, and we are going to place upside down stairs underneath this overhanging part like this, and then these will connect to the next floor. So the next floor is going to be a copy of the previous, so we're going to use alternating polished deep slate and calcite, and I am trying to match this to the same pattern that we have down below. So we connect this to this wall, and then if we simply extend the calcite and the deep slate over to the left, this part wants to be pretty much open. The only part that doesn't really is we want to extend a row of white concrete extending back behind the 2x2 square with these stairs on it, and we're going to extend this row up a couple of rows just like this, and then join it across the top because there's a changing room below, and I don't like the idea of like standing in the stairs peeking into the changing rooms. That's a big oops. So moving on, we are just going to now extend the floor towards the front of the build, and that is just about the entire structure of the inside of our store. Almost. This is great, let's move downstairs. Okay, so down here, I first of all want to add a pillar of diorite wall in the corner of the stairs leading from the ground to the ceiling, like this. Then I want to make some of the previously mentioned changing room. The door is going to go right here against this wall, and then we're going to connect quartz bricks to the left of the lower part of the door, and then white concrete above it. Then inside here we are going to light it up using sea lanterns, upside down quartz stair in the corner with a couple of tripwire hooks above, and that makes a nice perfectly functional changing room. On the right wall, the literal right wall of the entire build, we are going to stack a place to actually have some clothes. So we're going to leave a gap of 2 against this wall and then place a row of white concrete floor to ceiling. We'll leave another gap of 2 and then a row of white concrete floor to ceiling. Extending from the white concrete in the ground, we want to dig 1, 2, 3, replace with sea lanterns, with upside down polished deep slate stairs extending from this, and we want to curve it at the end like so. So we want to be able to hang actual clothes from here, so we're going to have end rods connected together 1 row off of the ground, and we also want to have a similar thing on the right here, so we're actually going to leave a gap of 1 between this set of end rods and this one, and we want to have the clothes hang a little bit higher here. You can even hang them like this, but we'll have some empty racks. I'll show you what I mean in a second. We're also going to place some shelves above this in the form of iron trap doors, so these will actually be able to house things on them, but we'll be placing stuff a little bit later. I'm also going to stick a shelf over here next to the till area, and maybe even one above that. Although we can't actually place anything on that, it's still nice to have it anyway. So now that we've done that, we are also going to place a set of bookshelves just behind these tills with some grey carpet on top that is a little bit inconspicuous, that can kind of like be anything. I also want to have some hanging plants above this window, so this is going to be a series of flower pots above this glass line with ferns in the flower pots and chains hanging them down. In the corner of the till area, I think that I'll just have a couple of armor stands as well, and on the till we'll have a glow item frame, and this can be like a payment device or maybe just like an iPad or something similar that the person behind the till would use, and I'll stick a lantern on the end and maybe even something in a flower pot, which I managed to get rid of as I was grabbing the flower pot. We should also probably place some mannequins in the form of armor stands. These can be placed pretty much in the center of the floor, and they don't really get in the way as we can kind of like just walk all the way around them. We are also going to have some... Maybe we'll have a mixture of this. We'll have a set of bookshelves behind these stairs here, and bookshelves of course can kind of like be made to look like anything. And we'll stack some scaffolding just in front of this, and we can stick item frames behind this and on the floor, and we can of course occupy these with anything. The only downside is that we can't place item frames on these, but we can place carpet and we can place other suggestive items in the item frames later on. So the way that these end rods work are very simple. If you stack banners underneath them placed sideways, they look like racks with clothes hanging down from them. And of course you can place any colour of banner that you like. You can even use pattern banners to make them look a little bit more elaborate if you like, but the downside is that we can't really do this on the upper set of end rods. The only thing that we can really do is this, kind of like hang them down like this, and it does kind of give like a nice busy effect. We can't even really like, and maybe like hang them to the side if we are kind of going for kind of like a cluttered vibe, but it might not be your sort of style. But we can place them on the floor. That looks really good, and I actually do think this does look quite nice as well. And if we just stick a painting up here, and up here there's always like boxes and stuff around here, so I'm thinking we place a couple of boxes, maybe even a couple of bookshelves just to make it look a little bit busier. I really like that. Does a painting? No, a painting won't slot there unfortunately, but that's perfectly okay. I bet we could... No, we can't even place a banner there, but that's okay. I think that I'll also have a painting maybe just here in the middle of this wall, or is this going to be too much? Shall we find out? There's only one way. I think that that's okay. We could even stick another one above it, or alternatively, we could go for a 1x2. Either one of these would be fine. I would prefer that one. That's absolutely perfect. We also have to find something to stack here as well, so that could once again like be a bookshelf just kind of like in the middle here. Maybe even like another painting above it, or we could have like a flower pot, although we've got a bunch of flower pots already, so maybe even just a lantern for a little bit of light. Nothing too crazy, and I think that this is looking pretty good so far. So for this set of scaffolding, basically what we're going to do is outfit all of the item frames with something. So it doesn't matter what that is, you can even make it all the same thing if you like. And just stack some different coloured or even the same colour of carpets on top of the scaffolding, and it looks like a set of clothes that are like being stacked on top of each other. You could even specifically have this for say like jeans. And you can of course just like colour match these if you like. So if you were to say use diamond legs, then put some light blue carpet in front, and netherite, some grey carpet or black, whichever you think it looks like more. I think that looks really cool. And when it comes to the armor stands, like it's a similar sort of deal. Like it's up to you how you want to outfit these. Full clothes, not full clothes, what armor you want to use, dyed leather, regular leather, as long as it looks good. And I think that this kind of fits the colour palette. I really like how this looks. I think that downstairs is pretty much done at this point. So working our way upstairs, or halfway upstairs, I want to begin by decorating this little shelf here with some grey glazed terracotta with some oak leaves on top, flower pots in front, and then a series of saplings inside of the flower pots. Then we are going to place some black stained glass pane just next to these stairs so that we don't fall down. We're also going to place some bookshelves right at the top of the stairs here, just wrapping around ever so slightly. We'll make these about 3 rows high. I think that that will be perfect. Then in the center of this room, and there is a center if we kind of like include this row of the glass on it, we want to have 3 mannequins, 1, 2, 3, just like this, facing towards us. And then, or I guess you could even alter them. Maybe like one of them can face like the opposite way. Underneath this window here, we're going to have a couple of bookshelves. And next to this, we'll have some scaffolding, kind of a similar setup to what we have downstairs. And then in this window here, in the middle, we'll have a grey glazed terracotta, a couple of oak leaves on top, sea lanterns next to the terracotta with quartz stairs on top of those. Or in front of those, I should say. Hanging down above each mannequin, we are going to have a chain with a lantern underneath. This is just going to light the room and kind of like, I don't know, there's just something about it. It kind of like helps you focus in on the armor stands. We'll place a couple of item frames on the floor and just against this wall where we have the scaffolding as well. We'll also stick some grey carpet on top of these bookshelves and some armor stands on top of these sea lanterns. Maybe even a painting on the wall as well to kind of coincide with the mannequins, just to kind of like even further. There's just something about this particular row. I think it just kind of, I don't know. Well, anyway, similarly to what we did downstairs, we are just going to stack some different things in the item frames. I'm going to go for chest plates this time, and we'll help these coincide with the item frames that are kind of like stacked around so that it makes sense. And all we have to do now is actually just fill in these mannequins with armor. And I think that we will go for like every single set because it's just a perfect amount. So I'm going to make these first 3 mannequins the more common armor, as we have the more rare ones already downstairs kind of like on display. I'm noticing that we actually have a set of armor spare, like we would be able to stick another mannequin somewhere, but I think that this is just the right amount. And with that one placed, I actually almost forgot something. So right at the start of the store, we are going to have kind of like the anti-theft devices. You know those things that like beep if you accidentally walk out with something with a tag on? Accidentally, right guys? Well, we just want to have a couple of sets of oak trap doors that are just flipped up left and right of the center row. So if we just get rid of the middle, there we go. That's absolutely perfect. And that's it. I hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial. Please do remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.